Hey, hi. In this video, we're gonna see how to enable Zero ETL between Amazon RDS, Aurora MySQL with Amazon Redshift. As you see in this PPT depicts my demo. Here, Amazon RDS, Aurora MySQL is acting as your application database, and Amazon Redshift cluster is acting as a data warehouse service, right? So now, AWS has recently introduced a new feature called Zero ETL, which means that you don't need to explicitly configure the ETL configuration between this source and destination, but automatically the service itself has the capability to connect these Amazon RDS with Amazon Redshift with a feature called Zero ETL, which means that if you use this feature automatically, you don't need to set up those traditional old days AWS glue blah blah things and all, and which will eventually help us to do the ETL job, right? So that is not required now. Now these services provide that kind of integration capabilities that is for ETL is been inbuilt with them. We're going to see in this video like how we can use that, and we also see that how does that actually helps us to migrate the data from Amazon RDS to Amazon Redshift cluster, which is actually a data warehouse services. So the data, as you know, the data warehouse service is used for reporting purpose, machine learning purpose, and you can get more value for enterprise with the Amazon Redshift cluster, which is acting as a data warehouse for your application database. Now without being late, let's go to the my AWS account. So currently I'm in AWS account, which is my account, and I'm in RDS service currently in Oregon region. First of all, in this demo you need to have an RDS system, right? So in this case we are using RDS MySQL Aurora MySQL, right? So for that case, you need to create the database cluster and instance for your case. So how to do that? I'm going to just give you a quick overview about that. To create a RDS database, you need to click on this create database and then choose the standard create. In this demo we are focusing more on Aurora MySQL, right? So we're gonna choose the first option and then go back to the available version. So in the available versions, make a note that Zero ETL feature is available only on a certain version, RDS instances, not on all. In this case, we are exploring on Aurora MySQL. So Aurora MySQL um, Zero ETL feature is only compatible for version greater than 3.0.5.0. In the sense, you need to use any versions greater than 3.0.5. That is been mentioned in the, I'm not saying that has been mentioned in AWS document. As you see here, currently in the Amazon RDS documentation page, Aurora MySQL Zero ETL integration. In this one, if you go to the Oregon region, which is our region, so here it supports 3.0.5. and higher, in the sense inclusive of 0.5.0, it does support. So in my case, what I did is I created an RDS instance of version Aurora MySQL greater than 3.0.5.1. That is this version. Okay, I choose that engine version, and then in the template choose in the production, and then give the name like say like whatever the name you want to give, say like RDS instance XYZ, right? And then the credentials, I have given my own credentials here, say like so in my case this is my credentials. I'm going to show you my credentials as well. So you need to give these credentials like this. All right, and once the credentials have been given, in the cluster storage configurations we have chosen the Aurora standard one, and in the instance configurations we have used burstable classes. In that one, dbt3.medium has been used. And in the availability and the durability, I don't want durability because this is a demo purpose. In the connectivity, we're going to use all the do not connect to an EC2 compute resource. Network is IP version 4, default VPC, default subnet, and as of now I'm exposing RDS over the public access because I need to create a table and show the demo, right? That's the reason I'm exposing this RDS over the internet, but it is not recommended for enterprise grade RDS system to accessible over the internet. Make a note. And in the VPC security group, we're going to choose the default VPC security group. In this security group, you need to enable port number 3306, which is a MySQL port. All right, and then so rest all of configurations I have kept default, and in the monitoring I'm disabling the monitoring because this is a demo. And then click on a create database, which will actually takes nearby 10 minutes. So that's the reason I have pre-created the RDS instance of Aurora MySQL version 3.0.5.1. Right, so in after this one, so this is the first step. In the sense, you need to have a source data here, that is RDS. Next step is, so you need to modify the parameter groups. For that case, what you do is you need to go to the parameter groups, create a parameter group belongs to your RDS instance class. So click on that create parameter group, and it will take you to this page where you can create a copy of your your engine. So I'm going to refresh this page automatically now. So basically we can go and check there rightly. So let's wait because it is taking a time. So I have already created. Let me show you that. To create, just click on this one, and there will be options to create the parameter groups. Right. So like this, in this one, you need to choose Aurora MySQL version family. Type is, this one you need to choose a cluster parameter group. Remember that you need to choose DB cluster parameter group, and then give the name, your super secret name, as very cool name, and the description, give the description name, and then you're gonna create a custom parameter group like this. In this custom parameter group, you need to modify certain the parameters. That's the reason we are creating a custom parameter here. And the having a custom parameter is a prerequisite for this zero ETL configurations. For that case, for Aurora MySQL RDS, you need to make the changes. I'm going to share this configuration in the sense we need to change the parameter values of this family in the sense of this parameter group like this. For example, say binary log underscore format, you need to set it to row. Yeah. And similarly, so all these, there are 6 parameters values you need to change other than default, and that is a prerequisite here. So binary backup, you need to set it to 0, and then the binary replication global, you need to set it to 0 because you don't want that, right? And then similarly, the binary log row image value has to be changed to full, right? So you see that there are full configurations, and then similarly binary row metadata value has to be changed to like this. All right. So these configurations which I have already modified for my keys. Yeah. So I'm going to go to this one. So likewise, what I did is I have modified my custom parameter group belongs to class of Aurora MySQL 8.0, and in that custom parameter group, I modified these parameters, and that's how my custom parameter group for Aurora MySQL looks like this. Now I need to attach this parameter group to the RDS instance which I created just now. So let's go to the database and click on this one. Click on modify. Once you click on modify, it will take you to this page. Here you will have an option to choose your custom created parameter group belongs to this RDS instance class. If you have created to or pointed to a wrong RDS instance class, it will not be listed. Make a note of that. So I have did this, and then finally click on continue, and then here do a apply immediately, and click on this modify cluster. So this box will be in a orange color. Click on that, it will automatically gets applied, and once it is been modified, in the sense immediately once you are done, immediately apply. You also need to do a reboot of your right instance. So basically the first resource is a cluster, which is just a logical entity, but actual instance, in the sense actual virtual machine hosting your RDS machine is this machine, right? And this machine has to be rebooted so that the parameter group, the configuration that you have added, it gets penetrated to this machine. All right. So with that note, what we will do is, we are done with the part number 2. That is step number 2. Now the step number 3, check whether you are able to connect to this RDS machine from the internet. Nothing but take a basically, use a client and try to access this database with using, from the internet, right? So you click on your cluster, DB identifier, and in the connectivity and security, you will see the 2 endpoints, that is endpoint for writer and reader. We're going to choose this one, that is the endpoint for writer, and I have MySQL workbench bin is there. So I'm going to close it off, and I'm going to show you that, so how to connect this. I'm going to just disconnect this. So let's click on this MySQL workbench which I have installed. So if you want to install MySQL workbench, you can download it from the internet and install it in your system. So basically this is this is a very important one. Yeah. So in the Amazon, so basically you need to create a MySQL connection. In the sense, just click on this, give a name like this. Yeah. And then give the host name. So host name is nothing but the FQDN that we copied. And in the username, you need to give the username, that is something like admin. And the set value, so value is nothing but the password, that is in the sense when you created the RDS instance, you have given admin as a user and the password. That password has to be put in here. and then click on so basically click on OK, then automatically it will add a MySQL connection like this. For now, I'm going to open the connections that I have already created. Now I'm going to copy paste the password of my instance, which I copied in a notepad. Just a second. So I'm going to copy that. So this is my password. I have given it for RDS and also for the Redshift clusters. So for now, what I do is I'm going to go back to the machine here and give the password. So click on this password. Automatically, it should be able to take the MySQL machines. Basically, MySQL engine should be accessible from the internet. Okay, that is very important, because since you have enabled the access over the internet, so the RDS instance will be accessible from there. Okay, and then later what I did is I have created a custom database called RDS cloudquicklabs. You see, I run this command and then the database got created. And later what I did is I also added a table underneath this one. So this is, remember, this is not my local hosted MySQL database, but this is hosted on my AWS account cluster, which we just now created, in the sense the RDS instance which we just now created. And after that, I also created a table called persons and pointing to this schema that is nothing but our database, and that also got created. Okay, so that is the for your information. So this is how our Amazon RDS the setup looks. Okay, so with that being said, we are good at the source side. Now let's jump to the Amazon Redshift cluster side, and then we're gonna come back to the the other configuration that we need to manage. Okay, so here, so you can create, so to create or to use the latest Zero ETL configurations, you need to create a work group of the so you need to create an Amazon Redshift cluster work group from basically, you see the try new Amazon Redshift feature in preview. In the sense, currently Zero ETL feature is in preview. So that's the reason you need to create a work group from this one. So click on this, create work group, give the name of your work group like this, and then rest all configurations, choose it according to your configurations. Click next, and then give the namespace. So work group is like a big container. Underneath that, the namespace is nothing but your cluster, and then give your the credentials, that is your password, and click next, and then click on a create basically. So which will eventually take nearby again 5 to 10 minutes. So to avoid the time, I am to save the time, I'm just directly jumping into the whatever I have created. So my work group and my namespace is created like this. Okay, so basically, as I said, you need to create a work group from this create preview work group. In the sense, you need to use create preview work group button and create your cluster, Redshift cluster. So my Redshift cluster is like this. After that, you need to, so basically you can explore your cluster being created like this. Now we need to do, now our destination is also ready, right? So earlier days we used to get ready about our Amazon RDS as a source and destination. Now in between we used to configure our ETL resources like AWS glue. Then you need to, then from the glue you need to configure the connections, you need to configure the job, you need to configure the blah blah things. Okay, lots of configurations were being done here to achieve the ETL operation. Now that has been gone. You can directly use the native capabilities of these tools. Okay, so for that case, now the next step is we need to configure the resource policies. So click on this resource policy. In the authorized integration resources, you need to add basically a new authorized, in the sense authorized integration resource. Okay, so to add that, what you do is you can click on edit. I'm just going to show you that how to do that. So there will be, right now I have already added, because right now it looks like it supports only one resource policy. So for that case, I cannot add the additional, right? You see that. So basically what I do is so here here there will be a button called add authorized integration resource. Okay, click on that and it will ask you for the authorized source ARN. So authorized source ARN, you can get it from the cluster. Click on a cluster and go to the configurations. In the configurations, you have ARN, copy that ARN, and that ARN is been put in place here. So then I clicked on a save, which actually added the authorized integration resource source ARN. So this is the step number 3 that you need to make sure to have the configuration on the destination side. Along with that, you need to also add an authorized principal as well. So in my case, I have added root principal ARN. All right, so that is the basically you need to, these are all the resource policy configuration that you need to maintain here. So with that, we are done with the basically the configurations on the destination side, that is resource policy. Now we will jump back to the RDS, that is our source. So again, back to the cluster, right? So in the cluster, there is an option called, if you click on this, there is an option called Zero ETL integration. Okay. So zero ETL integration, you can now, this is the space where actually, the AWS has introduced a recent new feature for enabling the, the ETL operations between the Amazon RDS to Amazon Redshift cluster. Okay. So here you can click on create Zero ETL integration and then give the identifier name like this. And then in the source side, you're going to use the source, that is your RDS. In the destination side, you're going to browse the data warehouse service, that is cloudquicklabs. Yeah, so this one. And then, so once this has been done, so basically, so there is a one more step, in the sense, before you select the target, there is a one prerequisite that you need to make sure is to run one AWS CLI command. That is, you need to update the Redshift serverless work group with a certain configurations, which I'm going to show you now in a CMD. This is my command prompt. I'm in Windows system, right? So for that case, what I did is I have run command called AWS configure, and with that I'm setting the context of my AWS account by providing these, the access key ID and secret of the user, and this user has admin access plus. I'm going to delete this, no problem. I'm going to delete this access key ID and secret after this call, so you don't need to try this from your system. Now, once this AWS configure is done, we have set the context. Now, then after that, I'm running a command, something like this. If you closely watch this one, that is AWS Redshift serverless update work group. Work group name is nothing but what? This is my Redshift cluster work group name. And then config parameter, in the sense you see that parameter key equal to enable case sensitive identifier and value equal to. So this configuration, they are, AWS is telling us to run this command before you enable the Zero ETL configuration. Okay. So this is the basically prerequisite number 2 from the destination side. After we have added a resource policy, then you need to add this case sensitive, enable case sensitive identifier, configurations on the work group. And once this has been added, you see that the response will be something like this. If it is been giving the response like this, which means that it has enabled it. Yeah. So once that is being done, basically the cluster, in the sense this work group and the namespace goes in a modifying state. Once the modifying state is complete, the status has to be in available state. Then only you can go to the, that is the target. In the sense, we were where? We were here, right? So we were in the create Zero ETL configuration, and we were discussing on the target side, and I have given prerequisite before you select the target, and that was the prerequisite. All right. Now, when that has been done, you can click on a next, and here rest all configuration, keep it default, and then click on a create Zero ETL integration, which will actually create Zero ETL integration, something like this, right? So basically, so it looks something like this. In the sense, if you go to the Amazon RDS, you will see the configuration Zero ETL integration, something like this. Yeah. And even in the Redshift side, this is, I'm in the another page, don't get confused. I have opened 2 tabs, one for Amazon RDS, one for Amazon Redshift. You see, I'm just opening this Amazon Redshift. In this one, we have a namespace and work groups, right? So our namespace is this one. So in this one, if you go to the Zero ETL integration, so basically, so that integration will also gets replicated. You see, whatever the configuration that you do here, or either you do from the, the Redshift cluster side, it will get appeared on the both side. In the sense, it will get appear in the both the sides. In the sense, on the source side, it says this is the source and this is the destination. In the destination side, it will say this is the destination and this is the source, like that. Yeah. All right. So with that note being said, so once the configuration goes in a status like available, currently it is a need in attention. I'm gonna tell you why it is in. Once you see the status equal to available, you can click on the integration ID. Once you click on an integration ID, you can ignore these, the error banner. I'm going to tell you the implications of that in a couple of minutes, right? So here, basically, here you can click on a query, in the sense query database, which will take you to this page. So there is a button, you see that query data, right? So which you click on this one, it will take you to the another tab where you can see that, so basically if you refresh this, the Amazon Redshift cluster query data connections, it will pop up the serverless work group. You see the serverless work group, that is cloudquicklabs, is a serverless work group of Redshift cluster. And in that one, the database, that is the integration database, right? So if you see here, so we have basically once the Zero ETL integration has been created here, it will get appear something like this. And here, from here, you need to click on, so basically you need to click on create a database. In the sense, Zero ETL operation also needs a database, and that database gets appearing here. In the sense, you see, RDS integration database gets automatically replicated on the basically that database gets as a destination database. Yeah, all right. And you see that basically RDS entrance database, in that one we have a schemas, that is RDS Cloud Quick Labs is getting replicated automatically. So what is that RDS Cloud Quick Labs? As I said earlier, when we created RDS, we created a database called RDS Cloud Quick Labs. That is a database on the Amazon RDS Aurora MySQL side. Now that is getting replicated in the where in the basically in the Redshift cluster side. You see, I didn't create this, but it got automatically synced. Okay. So now note that, once the very important point is that once the zero ETL integration has been created, it will get appear here, and there will be a notification saying like create a database, and that database is nothing but the RDS integration database. Once that database has been created, okay, let me stop this, and I'm going to click on this again. So here you see the query database. Once you click on that, yeah, so once you click on this one, so it will take you to the here basically, and that is the database that we created for RDS integration, and in that automatically getting created. Okay, now with that we are actually set the zero ETL integration between Amazon RDS and Amazon Redshift. Note that this integration process creation will take a time, in the sense it is taking 15 minutes as per my observation. Now let's create another database. I'm going to create another database called something like this, that is create database 2, and I'm going to delete this database. Yeah, that is the previously created database. I'll refresh it now. You see that we have another database, and I'm going to clean this off, in the sense I'm going to delete this. So do you see the drop schema? Yeah, I'm going to drop this schema, execute the query. So basically we deleted one database called RDS Cloud Quick Labs, and we created a new one. Okay, so within this database, let's create a database. Let's create a table. So for now, if I open this Cloud Quick Labs 2 and go to the table, we don't have any table, right? So let's create a table, and let me do like this. Okay, so here previously I created a table, and that was showing you a need attention, right? So if I click on this, let me go to this. It says primary key not found, in the sense any table that you create in this zero ETL process should have a primary key. If your table does not has a primary key, then it will throw the error like this. Okay, that's the reason it was showing me a need and attention. Okay, let's create a SQL table with the primary key. Okay, so I'm just say create SQL table with primary key. So I'm going to try to find constraint like this. You see that primary key equal to ID. Let's add this like this. So previously I created a table without a primary key, and that is actually causing a problem in the zero ETL process. So I'm going to add this as the primary key. Now I'm going to make this like this, and let's create a table now. Okay, so now we are creating a table where underneath this schema, that is RDS Cloud Quick Labs. Okay, so I'm going to refresh it now, and we should be able to see a table now here. So we have a table here, right? So let's see what happened in the Amazon Redshift side. So let's go refresh it now and check whether it is getting replicated or not. Okay, that's what I wanted to show you now. So with that being said, so basically so once this is getting replicated on the Amazon Redshift cluster side, which completes our demo part. Okay, so I'm going to open that query editor again, and to see if it is getting replicated. Let's see if the work group has the sync now. So if you open the work group, you will see a database called RDS integration database, and here you go, right? So now previously created RDS Cloud Quick Labs, Cloud Quick Lab 1, basically without 2, so there was a database, right? And that got deleted because I deleted from the RDS. How I'm doing it from the Amazon RDS, basically from MySQL workbench. Yeah? All right, so now you see that basically the table is also getting viewed. Let's explore the table and see if it has if this table has some data. Okay, so right now we don't have any data. I'm going to show you that once I do basically once I add the data into this person table, it's going to also get sync, right? So currently this table this table does not has any data. You can try to explore it from here as well. So basically if I try to show limit of this, and try to run this query. You see currently it does not has anything. We're going to add some data, dummy data into this one. So basically let's find a query. So SQL query to insert the data. Okay, so insert into statement. Let's explore this insert into. So I'm going to copy one table like this, insert into this, and we're going to execute it from the source side. Okay, so remember that I'm executing this from the source side. So for that case, what I do is I'm going to run this command here, that is insert into RDS cloudquicklabs 2 person, and then we're going to copy these person ID, right? So this is my column number 1. Okay, so let me copy this again. Copy this, and we're going to paste it here. Okay, so we're going to paste it here. That is person ID, last name. This is my last name, and this is my first name. So basically, to insert the data into the MySQL table, we need to follow a syntax, and that syntax is being carried out here now in front of you. We're going to add some few data, and we see that the data getting replicated. So now what I do is I'm going to add a record into this table like this. So if I go to my syntax, everything is varchar and the first one is int. So I need to add integer here, say like say something like this, yeah. And then so basically it has a 5 columns. So 1 2 3 4, and then we're going to remove this off. So basically 1 2 3 4, right? So 4 4 4 4 4 4, this is scangen. Okay, so 4 and 5. Let's run this command now and see if the data gets inserted into the table. So I'm going to run this now. Looks like data got inserted into the table, and we're going to do a select star from the table again and see that if it shows me data. You see that we have added some records into the table. Now let's wait for a couple of seconds and go back to the Amazon Redshift query editor and try to keep on running the table. And here you go, the data gets automatically replicated in the sense, right? So basically this is very amazing feature which I can see that your data gets replicated automatically, right? So if I try to basically if I try to add, if I try to update, everything that is getting replicated into the Amazon Redshift cluster instantly, very much fastly. But earlier days, ETL, there was a delay, there was a problem, there was a lots of multiple configurations that has been completely removed, and AWS is taking that configurations on their own, right? So with that note, I have shown you the things need to be shown in this video. Finally, a kind request, please do subscribe my channel. That would really encourage me a lot. With that note, thank you very much, and see you in the next video.